All right, welcome back to the Central Valley Buzz, everybody. I'm your host, Chuck Leonard, and how you doing? Yeah. All right. Hey, our next guest, oh my God, if you guys haven't heard about it, Golden Valley Unified School District, not so unified anymore. I got John Moseley here, and boy, is he pissed. Let's talk to him. John, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. Good morning.
Last time you were on the show, on the weekend of all times, my phone starts ringing from people in the Madera Ranchos, and they're mad at you.
Yes.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? Hey, let's tell everybody the real story. What's going on?
Well, we do have a recall going on in the ranchos at Golden Valley Unified.
You were just voted in November. What'd you do?
I'm honestly still don't know why I'm being recalled. They've never made that very clear, and of course we're opposing it as much as possible. Because
the recall is not just against you; it's Carla Jean Neal and Catherine
Crumpton.
Okay.
And Carla Neal and myself are brand new to the board. Mm-hmm. In fact, we'd only been on the board for 60 days when they initiated the recall. The special interest groups did. And even though we've only been on the board for 5 months, we've managed to grow the bottom line. We've hired a new superintendent. The old superintendent
blew out.
Well, he's separate. He left on his own.
Right.
We hired Mr. Hatch, a long-term employee. They said it would cost $200,000 to find a soup. We did it for minimal. We just promoted our assistant soup. Mm-hmm. We saved money on auditing the books. We had them bid it.
Wait a second. Auditing the books.
Yes.
Isn't that where the real problem lies?
There's a lot of issues in the books. Right now, the biggest issue is trying to understand the Millerus deal that was put together by the previous board. Mm-hmm. There are 2 members from the previous board on this board that I'm part of. They do support the recall.
So you found out something that they were a part of, and they didn't like the fact that you found it out. Now they're mad and they want you out of there.
I don't know whether
You're pointing your finger at them.
They knew I found it out, or if they were either very ignorant of the facts of what they were dealing with.
Okay.
Or they just didn't want a new board digging around in the shadows and always finding new issues and new problems. I don't mind saying it now. We get elected, and the new board doesn't. Carla and myself, Kathleen, we don't know that the district is at least being looked at by the SEC in an investigation.
Federal investigation.
It's a federal. We're not. I'm not saying we're the target. We didn't know that our former superintendent had been deposed. Mm-hmm. No one told us going in, and if the other board didn't know, then that I questioned. What oversight were they doing?
So the former superintendent has a deposition with a federal investigation, and then he boogies.
Well, he left on his own.
I mean, that's what it is, right?
That's right.
So let's get down to the real problem here. The real problem here is that there's something going on with with developers.
Yeah.
Contractors.
Yes.
Okay, they're coming in, they're building all these homes.
Right.
And generally, when they come in and build these homes, they cough up some money to help build the schools in that area for all these children to go to. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay.
It's absolutely correct.
Have they done it differently out in Golden Valley Unified School District, John Moseley?
Yes, they have. What brought the Millerus issue, which is tied to the SEC, they're 2 separate issues, but they're linked. There's a bridge between the 2. Is that, and I'm struggling to get the memo out. We got a memo that basically said this is not illegal, it's unethical, and we shouldn't do it. Now,
you shouldn't do the deal.
We shouldn't be doing the Millerus deal, those packages they put together.
Because when the contractors and the developers don't pay, those schools still get built, and who fronts the bill for them then?
Well,
taxpayers,
that's
right?
That's exactly right. The rest of us would be on the hook for the bonds that were passed.
So who wins here? Who is obviously the contractors got to keep all that money. So are you saying maybe somewhere along the way someone got paid off?
No, I'm not going to make that accusation.
I'm okay. If it's not true, it's not true. But it seems to me there's a hell of a lot of money
there's a lot of money
got washed away.
And every time I turn around, I find that there is another fund. And when we got the memo saying this was you shouldn't be doing this, we were told. The one board member in executive session who was there from the old board still wanted us to call county council and ask them to change their mind, which we did not do. I called and said, don't change your mind. If that's your opinion, live with it. I talked to my supervisor, Brett Fraser. In fact, he said we had 3 board members in our hip pocket with the developers. Following that, we get even more information on the Melrose, and in that memo there is a description. If you understand what you're reading, and every time something comes up, the two previous board members, Mr. Kelly and Mr. Lewis, they don't understand. They keep saying, I don't understand. But there's a way to take something that is at best unethical and insulate yourself from taxpayer lawsuits and so forth. And it's in that memo. And basically what happens is that you would go to court and get a prejudgment from a judge. You send out notice to the taxpayers and legalese, like you get a recall notice, or you get, this is a class action suit, and you hold your breath, and you hope no taxpayer or taxpayer group comes up and says, hey, I don't want you to do this for 60 days. And a judge will award you the right to raise taxes because you asked that way. And so, I mean, I read the memo and I went, this agreement, which they keep telling us is the best thing that we'll ever have, and maybe it is or was, I saw tax increases and I saw untruths about how the bond was going to be paid. And there is,
because those bonds are worth less money now, aren't they?
Well, the bond, in theory, the bond's still worth $50 million, but someone's got to pay it off. And they finally did admit that this was going to be a template of some sort. What that meant was that those of us who are currently in that area, if this becomes the template for all the development that's scheduled for Eastern Madera County and in our school district, the only people left to pay off the bond for the high school and junior high would be those of us who were there already. So our taxes would go up. Now, Carla and Kathleen and myself have been fighting this stuff for a long time. We've been trying to talk about it, but only when we are absolutely sure about what we are understanding. And the public's got to understand, there are 3 people who have been trying very hard to be transparent and honest with them. It's Kathleen and Carla and myself, which is, why we're asking them to vote no. If we are removed and there's a new board, they have to start over again if the board wants to know all this. We're at the last executive session, and I find out that there's a mitigation fund that we didn't know about that's contained somewhere in this agreement. I haven't read all 112 pages yet. There's a fund set up to pay for fees for dealing with and defending the Melrose. So that's another one. It's like when I first got on board, I found out that they had a special reserve. Now, I don't know what that was for, but it's a special reserve that's not in the budget. So we're always digging. We're always digging.
Is there a chance that some of this money that these contractors saved by not building these schools, is there a chance that some of that money went into somebody else's pocket and maybe they're trying to cover it up and they don't want you around because you're making trouble for them?
I don't know what's
is there a chance?
I think I keep hearing from the other the older board members, they were worried that the schools would cost the developers so much they wouldn't be able to sell the homes, and that might be true, I don't know, but my concern as a Board of Trustee member is not the profit of the developers. Right. My concern has to be
the children,
the school district, and how these things are going to affect our current kids and future kids. And that's what I've been focused on. And the problem is that when you turn to Mike Kelly, like he's been on the board for 10 years. What does this mean? What's involved in it? He either says I don't understand or I don't know. Mr. Lewis is very similar in his tact. My view is I've been on the board now for 5 months. I apparently have learned more in 5 months than they learned in 10 years or 6 years, the two men, or the previous board members who are now off. And the taxpayers have got to understand that if they do the recall and they take us off, it's from ground one. You may never know all the details. You may never know how much money was involved and where it went. Because every time we spend a little more digging, we find there was money set somewhere or used for something. I didn't know there was a gift or a payment made to the district between $120,000 and $150,000, apparently by the developers, to help the district find counsel to deal with the developers. My son found that out from a conversation with a former board member.
Really? Where were they at when he found out about that?
He was in the parking lot at the end of during one of our board meetings.
What were they doing in the car?
Thank you. I really appreciate it. They were talking to each other in the parking lot.
Okay.
Okay. But, well, I have not talked to my son about this stuff. He revealed that at the last board meeting. And so, it's
getting hairy out there, isn't it?
It's getting hairy.
Has anyone threatened you?
Actually, my house has been vandalized 3 times.
Oh.
And my daughter was threatened.
Really?
And I don't know who vandalized the property. The first one was minor. It was silly. They put for sale signs out. The next 2 did damage to the property and 2 vehicles.
That's not funny.
My daughter, a student, walked by and threatened her life. I talked to the principal about it, and the issue was taken care of. Hasn't happened since. But, it was at that point when the recall group was being very, very vocal and extremely rude. And I don't know if it was anybody within the group or it gave license to people to do things that they normally wouldn't do. But, no, and in Carla's house has had some vandalism. I know that Kathleen's house was the target of it, but they actually put the for sale signs on the house next door. And but no, my house has actually been damaged twice, and so but that hasn't happened in a while. We are still very cautious at night because of someone feeling a license to do harm. And we made reports with the sheriff's office. I'm an old retired deputy sheriff, not from Madera County. I started in Butte County. But I take all of this very seriously. I've been out there since 1989. My oldest boy was in the first kindergarten class at Sierra View. My wife taught in what was in the Chewonaki district, which is where Sierra View sits. My sons love this area. I always have. I've enjoyed my life out there. I always thought I had dealt with rational people until the threats and so forth. We're sort of trying to do what's the best for the kids.
When do they want this recall? When's the recall?
It's going to be in September, the 1st of September.
Okay, and so what are you going to do until then? Keep on fighting?
We're going to keep fighting, keep trying to figure out the truth, keep asking people to vote no on the recall. Give us an opportunity to find the truth. Give us an opportunity to serve the term that we ran for. I walked my entire area. I knocked on every door.
I know you did.
And Carly did the same thing. We deserve the opportunity to finish out our terms and then make judgment of us. People make judgment about us when we only had been at 2 or 3 meetings.
Stop digging so much, man.
I won't. No, right. On the board.
John Moseley, always
Thank you.
Good to talk to you. Good luck with everything, buddy. Okay?
Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we